Welcome to a journey steeped in shadow and light, where redemption intertwines with the echoes of the past. Join us as we delve into the tale of a man consumed by his regrets, who finds unexpected allies in twin Elven Maidens. Together, they brave the depths of a mystical forest, battling the darkness that clings to his very soul. Immerse yourself in this gripping, medieval, grim, dark fantasy adventure, perfect for listening while you engage in your daily activities, be it commuting, working, or unwinding at home. Let the haunting beauty of the story envelop you, serving as an ambient backdrop to your day, as you witness the transformation of a man who must confront his greatest fears to reclaim not just his past. I broke through the underbrush, gasping as the night air sliced through my lungs. Branches clawed at my skin, tearing through the rags that clung to me like the memories I was desperate to bury. The moon hung low, a merciless eye watching my flight from the shadows of my past. I couldn't afford to look back, not now. My feet pounded against the forest floor, heart racing as if it aimed to outpace the horrors that followed me. But the woods were alive with whispers, the spirits of trees and brambles echoing tales of the damned. In my desperation, I stumbled into a clearing, bathed in silver light, the beauty of it stark against my chaotic thoughts. From the shadows stepped two figures, ethereal and radiant, the air around them shimmering as if reality bent to their will. The twin Elven Maidens, clad in gossamer garments that flowed like water, bore an otherworldly elegance. Their eyes shone like distant stars, reflecting an ancient wisdom and an unsettling curiosity. I felt an instinctual pull towards them, as if they were the last remnants of hope in my withered heart. "Bravely do you tread, mortal," the first maiden spoke, her voice a melodic hum that wrapped around my soul. "Yet fears of the night trail you still." "No," I gasped, the weight of my past pressing against me like a village's worth of stone. "I'm not seeking your aid. I wish to be left alone." "Fear not, for we are not your pursuers," the second maiden interjected, her tone softer, almost soothing. "You have escaped darkness, but it clings to you still. Will you not accept our help?" As if summoned by my desperate need, shadows stirred in the depths of the woods. Shapes emerged, menacing, familiar. Figures from my past, hauntings made flesh, bearing the wrath of decisions I had tried to outrun. They surged forward with grotesque intent, hungry for vengeance. In that moment, the forest shifted with an unsettling intensity, the air thick with an impending storm. I fell to my knees, clawing at the grass below, overwhelmed. But the maidens moved with a grace I could scarce comprehend, stepping in front of me, weaving their fingers into intricate patterns. Energy crackled in the air, and for the first time, I sensed a glimmer of hope. "Protect him," one of the maidens commanded, and the shadows recoiled as tendrils of ethereal light burst forth from the ground. It enveloped me, a cocoon of protection, while the twin women channeled their magic against the dark figures, my pursuers. "Face your past, mortal," the other maiden cried, her voice filled with fury and strength. "Your demons will not be quelled by mere flight. You must confront them." Their words pierced my fear and ignited a reluctant resolve within me. I straightened, fists clenched, breathing heavily. The shadowy figures bore down on us, stretching their dark claws as I recalled flashes of memories, the choices that had led me to this moment. "No more running," I bellowed, my voice a fierce roar that echoed through the clearing. The shadows paused, their faces distorting into masks of rage and disdain. The Elven Maidens opened their arms, light swelling around them, granting me the courage I thought I'd lost. Together, we braced for the onslaught, but I felt an unusual warmth bloom within me, a bond to the maidens that flickered with promise and strength. With renewed resolve, I plunged into the fray. The first dark figure lunged at me, and I sidestepped, striking out with a frenzied swing of my elbow. The connection felt euphoric, a shattering of the chains that had bound me. I might have been a man lost in the woods, running from shadows, but I was not without my own light. The fight was chaotic. I parried and struck, fueled by the rage of my past, while the maiden's radiant magic bolstered my every move. We became a tempesta whirlwind of determination against the encroaching dark. As I cut down the remnants of my past, a realization washed over me. The very things I feared were born not from darkness, but from choices I had made. I had to take ownership, to accept the weight of my burdens, to honor the sisters who risked themselves for me. With one final surge, I dispatched the last of my old demons, and silence fell upon the clearing. The maidens stood tall beside me, their expressions a mixture of pride and concern. "We shall help you face what you must," one murmured softly, stepping closer. "What do I need to do?" I asked, my voice hoarse but firm. "You must confront your heart's darkness," the second maiden replied. "Only then can you truly be free, and we will stand by you." In the aftermath, with the shadows defeated, I understood that my journey was far from over. The woods still loomed, an uncertain expanse inviting me to seek redemption. I would not turn my back on the Elven Maidens' twin lights guiding me to a deeper understanding of my past, and through that, a chance to carve a new path forward. And so we ventured forth into the depths of the ancient wood, united by the thread of fate, determined to face whatever awaited us in the heart of darkness. As I stepped deeper into the woods, the air grew thick with tension, each breath tinged with the scent of damp earth and the decay of fallen leaves. The sounds of the forest enveloped us, the rustle of leaves whispering secrets only the trees knew. I glanced sideways at the maidens, their luminous forms contrasting sharply with the murky darkness that lay ahead. They moved like wraiths, an enchanting flutter of life in a world that felt intent on consuming me whole. In those moments, as the moon draped its silvery cloak over us, I began to unravel the spiral that had brought me to this place, haunted by the ghosts of my decisions. I remembered a life once vibrant, filled with laughter shared around crackling fires, a village that thrummed with joy. I had been a smith, crafting weapons, forging bonds, but it all turned to ash when ambition blinded me, leading me down paths of desperation and betrayal. "You are lost," one of the maidens said softly, her voice weaving through the night like a gentle breeze. "But do you know what you seek?" I paused, the question resonating in my mind like a tolling bell. What did I seek? The answer was elusive, tangled in shadows, though a glimmer of clarity began to break through my turmoil. "I seek forgiveness," I admitted, almost forgetting the weight of the words I had buried them so deep. "Forgiveness for myself for what I've done." "Understanding is the first step," the second maiden replied, nodding with solemn grace. "But in your journey, you will face more than just your heart's turmoil. The world does not forget those who tread its soil with bloodied hands." The night thickened as we ventured farther, the oppressive weight of ancient trees bearing down upon us. Their gnarled branches intertwined like hands clenching tightly, creating an almost suffocating embrace that beckoned me to turn back, flee once more. Yet I pressed on, driven by the echoes of my past and the fleeting reminders of who I once was, who I could be again. Soon, we arrived at a clearing, different from the last. This one was shrouded in fog, a realm where shadows danced indecisively. In the center stood an ancient altar, its stones cracked and overrun with vines. Dark energy radiated from it, peeking out from the edges of my consciousness like a long-buried nightmare clawing for freedom. "This is where memories entwine," the first maiden whispered, a shiver of unease in her voice. "Here you will confront what lies beneath the surface." I swallowed hard, a heaviness settling in my gut. What awaits me here? "Answers," the second maiden replied, her gaze fixed upon the altar, "and the truth of your choices." Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward, feeling the pull of the altar beckon me closer. The air grew electric with anticipation, tinged with an unsettling sense of purpose. As I approached, fleeting images flickered before my eyes, visions of laughter, of anger, of regret, my past unraveling before me like a tapestry frayed at its edges. "No!" I shouted, covering my face with trembling hands. Yet I could hear the echoes of those I'd wronged, their voices coiling around me, demanding acknowledgement and resolution. "Embrace them, mortal," the first maiden urged, her tone firm yet compassionate. "You cannot heal what remains hidden. You must face each memory. Let them go." I could feel the swell of anguish deep within me, a tempest raging for too long. With a shaky resolve, I dared to lower my hands, pressing my palms against the cold stone of the altar. It was there, and then, that I felt the power unfurl the catalyst to my redemption. Each haunted memory unfurled against my grasp, not only reminders of pain, but also insights born of tragedy, the lessons wrapped within layers of sorrow. A memory emerged vividly, the last time I had forged, hammer striking metal with precision, the pride surging through my veins. I could see the faces of those I had crafted weapons for, their eager hands reaching out for my creations. Then it darkened, the sight of my ambition unraveling, my insatiable hunger leading to chaos and betrayal. I had seen friends turn into enemies, alliances crumble into dust. I never meant to hurt them. I cried, the words tumbling from my lips like loose stones on a crumbling path. But I was too blinded by my own desires, too foolish to see the consequences. "Forgive yourself," the second maiden with her starry eyes urged, her presence soothing. "Your failures do not define you. They are but stones upon your path. Embrace your humanity." Tears welled in my eyes, hot and thick as the emotions washed over me. The tide of regret ebbed as understanding washed in, replacing the bitter taste of sorrow with the softer glow of acceptance. I was not merely a reflection of my mistakes. I could still choose to forge a new reality from the ashes of my past. With that realization, the memories entwined around me began to dissolve, melting away into the ether. The oppressive energy that had once threatened to smother me dissipated, the altar glowing vibrantly as the shadows receded. As I stood, at last unshackled from my history, I turned to the Elven Maidens, gratitude swelling in my chest. They had been my guides in this dark reflection and now offered me the warmth of their light. What now? I breathed, ready for whatever awaited us in the echo of the woods. Now the first maiden said with a serene smile, "We will uncover the true darkness that seeks to claim you. Together, we shall face what has been waiting for you." And as I stood among the swirling mists of clarity and resolve, I knew my journey had only just begun. The path ahead promised peril, but now I was ready to reclaim not just my fate, but the lives of those entwined with mine, the twin Elven Maidens who had saved me from the depths of despair. As much as I had run from my ghosts, I knew now I was not alone. We would confront the shadows together, bound by purpose, as I stepped forward into my reckoning. Now, the forest loomed with a sense of purpose, the heavy fog parting to reveal the way ahead. I was a man transformed. The weight of my decisions still pressed against me, but now tempered with the resolve to confront them head-on. Each step echoed with the knowledge that I had allies in the twin maidens, luminous spirits that flickered like stars against the encroaching darkness. As we moved deeper into the forest, I felt a shift in the atmosphere, an almost palpable darkness that hummed like a distant growl. There was something else lurking in the shadows, a hidden menace that called out to those who had been consumed by desperation and sorrow. I could sense it, a foul energy stirring, aware of my presence and hungry for the reckoning that lay ahead. "Do you remember what we spoke of?" the first maiden asked, her voice a beacon amidst the thickening gloom. "You said there is a darkness seeking me," I recalled, my heart racing at the thought. "What does it want?" She turned slightly, her gaze clear and unwavering. "It is drawn to the chaos you have sown in your wake, seeking not just you, but others who wear the scars of your making. It hungers for your suffering, your shame, and it will rise to confront you." "Then I must be ready," I replied, squaring my shoulders. The thought of confronting the consequences of my past sent a shiver of apprehension coursing through me, but with it came the flicker of determination. I had fought off my demons before. Now I needed to embrace the fight for the future. "We will guide you through it all," the second maiden assured, her presence a soothing salve for my ravenous soul. "But it is essential to know that true strength lies not in vengeance, but in understanding and acceptance. Only then can you wield your past to protect those you cherish." "Like you," I whispered, glancing at the elven sisters who had risked everything for me, while I had barely been worthy of their trust. The forest opened into a grand amphitheater formed of ancient trees standing as silent sentinels, their trunks twisted against time. At the heart of this natural colosseum lay a tempest of swirling shadows, darkness coalescing into tangible shapes, some recognizable, others grotesque distortions of my past. Then it emerged, a figure sewn together from the frayed remnants of memory, clad in the agony of loss. It was a reflection of me, a monstrous echo draped in the sins of my past. The echoes of those I had betrayed flickered in its eyes, raw pain twisting into an urgent howl. "You will pay," it thundered, the voice a cacophony of betrayal and grief. "You think you can erase the horrors you have wrought?" My heart pounded in response, each beat a rolling affirmation. "I cannot erase the past, but I can face it." The twins stepped forward, their hands raised, a luminous barrier forming before us. Do not fight it with rage alone, one of them cautioned. Instead, embrace the truth of what you have done. Taking a steadying breath, I stepped forward, grounding myself in the earth beneath. The shadows pulsed, festering memories clawing at me with accusations wrapped in cold logic. But behind the anger lay the sorrow, the faces of friends turned enemies, the people whose lives I had shattered, visions of my former self, desperate and lost. I am sorry, I called out, my voice trembling but true. I never intended for it to be this way. All I wanted was to forge my destiny, but I let my ambition blind me. I lost you all in my hunger. The shadow paused, quivering as if straining against the truth spilling from my lips. I felt the power of sorrow course through me, wrenching pain mingled with a newfound clarity. Each regret that bubbled forth was another step towards illumination. The twin maidens stepped beside me, their light amplifying my fragile resolve. Each word is a healing thread. The second maiden spoke softly, a testament to your acceptance. Speak your truth and let it unravel the darkness. Confronting the shadow, I let the defenses fall. I lost them, not because of their failures, but because I could not recognize my own. I ran from the guilt and despair until it festered inside me. I had the power to forge peace, but I chose the path of greed instead. The shadow writhed, its visage contorting with anguish as it seemed to absorb the confessions. No, you will not escape. You owe us, not merely in coin or recompense. I shouted, the passion raising my voice above the winds that began to swirl around us. But by embracing the impact of my choices, I owe it to myself to understand, to change. I refuse to bear this burden alone any longer. In that moment, a wave of brilliance cascaded from the twin maidens, illuminating the amphitheater and banishing the shade momentarily. It flickered and dimmed as if visibly shaken, reacting to the raw energy of my honesty. Overwhelmed, I pressed forward, channeling my remorse and vulnerability like a weapon forged anew. You are not the man you were, the first maiden urged. You possess the strength to redefine your destiny. Claim it. Together we bore down upon the specter of my past. I could see its form unraveling as it writhed against my affirmations of identity, of the choice to no longer let darkness define me. The shadows twisted into grotesque figures before they finally dispersed like smoke in the light of dawn. As the echoes faded, the clearing grew quiet. The weight of the shadows dissipating echoed in my heart a promise of renewed purpose. You have faced it, the second maiden breathed, her eyes filled with pride. But more than that, you must remember to be gentle with yourself. Redemption is not forged in one battle, it is an endless journey. As I stood together with the maidens, a connection deeper than mere gratitude anchored me to them. They had become my refuge, their wisdom illuminating my path forward. And as the moon shined brightly above, I understood that the call to adventure had only just begun. It was not just the confrontation of my past, it was a promise to protect what I now held dear. With unsteady resolve, I turned from the remnants of shadow. The path ahead branched out, fraught with uncertainty, yet alive with possibility. We would navigate this world together, forging ahead with strength and grace, ready to face whatever challenges awaited, a journey towards redemption and the promise of the future. Together, we would reclaim not just my fate, but the lives entwined with mine. And with each step, I stepped closer to understanding what it truly means to be free. Yet, despite the defeat of the shadow that had threatened to ensnare me, a deep-seated fear still clung to the edges of my consciousness. The lush greenery of the forest felt almost mocking an embrace that now felt suffocating, posing questions I struggled to answer. The momentary triumph flared within me, but beneath it lay the trembling specter of doubt. We faced the echoes of my past, I said, hesitation cutting through my voice like a blade. But what if it returns? What if I cannot conquer the darkness inside me? What if I am not worthy of this journey? I'm just a man who found refuge in the chaos of his own making. Do not let doubt hold sway over you, cautioned the first maiden, her bright eyes searching mine. To falter is a part of the journey. Each challenge you overcome is a step towards finding who you truly are. But a man changed by pain can just as easily revert to his old self, I countered, the weight of my sincerity pressing down like the heaviest of anvils. I am terrified that the darkness will reclaim me again. What if I cannot protect you? You deserve better than the shadows I carry. The second maiden stepped closer, her hand brushing against me, a gesture both tender and grounding. You carry the burdens of your past because you have chosen to reckon with them. Strength is not the absence of fear, but the presence of courage in the face of it. You have already begun to transform. Yet the whispers of self-doubt nagged at me, curling around my mind like the serpentine vines that clung to the altar. Uncertainty became a damp fog, enveloping me in a chilling embrace. You don't understand, I muttered, grinding my fists together. I misjudged so many of the gifts laid before me. Every choice I made drew me further from my loved ones. What if the past is too strong, too real? The darkness holds memories I can never escape. With resolute gentleness, the first maiden spoke. The darkness only holds power over you if you allow it. Change is not linear, it spirals and twists, pulling you toward growth. Embrace it, even when it shakes you to your core. As she spoke, the hesitance in me warred with the urge to accept their gentle words. Yet, I couldn't help but search for an escape, a way to sway this burden from my shoulders. What if I were to leave? Turn back into the shadows that no longer haunt my heart. Past pain feels more comfortable than accepting the burdens of today. Both maidens exchanged glances, an understanding passing between them as the moment hung like an unstrung bow. Running may provide a fleeting sense of relief, the second maiden said softly, but ultimately it will not vanquish the shadows. They persist, they linger as reminders of unfinished business. Turning back would only deepen the wounds. I feel so unprepared, I confessed, the urgency in my chest brimming like a tide ready to crash. What if I'm not enough to protect you? You are more than enough, mortal, the first maiden reassured, her voice like a beacon piercing through the murky mists of doubt. You have already proven your willingness to confront the past, to protect and fight for those you care about. Fear will always linger. It is a natural part of the journey. It teaches resilience. Doubt clawed at my spine, fear's icy fingers trying to root me in place. But if I fail again, if I lose you, my voice cracked under the weight of foreboding. The second maiden reached out, placing a hand on my shoulder, grounding me in the present with her warmth. Every warrior has fallen into defeat, she said, her eyes steady and wise. But true strength lies in rising, time and again, unwavering in the pursuit of those they cherish. Your past may sing darkly, but it has sculpted who you are today. You must embrace what you have become, a man who understands the cost of his choices. I swallowed hard, her words swirling around me as a tempest of emotion threatened to buckle my resolve. What if I dared? What if I can't overcome whatever evil watches from the shadows? I want to defend you, protect this precious bond we've forged, but nothing great is achieved without uncertainty, the first maiden replied, fierce determination in her voice. You are not meant to travel this path alone. We will stand beside you. The shadows may challenge you, but we together weave an unbreakable thread. I was silent then, both maidens' words eviscerating the doubt, glimmering with the warmth of affirmation that I hadn't known I needed. The shadows they spoke of were heavy, yet their wisdom wrapped around me like a chain I could wear with honor. As I grappled with the tumult within, I caught sight of the path ahead, faintly illuminated, beckoning with promise. A path fraught with peril, yes, but also one that glimmered with potential and newfound purpose. I cannot promise to be strong, I finally said, the tremor in my voice fading, but I will not run again. Good, the second maiden smiled, her ethereal glow brightening the air around us. This is the first step towards embracing the truth of your journey. With a nod, I took a tentative step towards the darkened woods, and as I did, I felt the burning ember of commitment ignite within my chest. Together we would forge our paths into the unknown, an alliance bound by light, determination, and the fierce promise to face whatever darkness lurked ahead. Though the shadows lingered, I finally understood. It was not simply the fear of my past that haunted me, but the courage that would light the way into tomorrow. And so, hand in hand with the twin Elven Maidens who had shown me the path, I took my first steps into the heart of the forest, the beginning of an arduous journey, but this time, I would not walk it alone. I stepped forward, guided by the flicker of hope that burned in my chest. The enigma of the forest unfolded before me, a den of shadows preparing to test the mettle of my resolve. The twin Elven Maidens flanked me, ethereal light illuminating the path while the trees whispered secrets above. With every step, I felt the burdens of doubt lift, replaced by a determination forged in shared purpose. But the deeper we ventured into the tangled undergrowth, the damp chill of uncertainty returned. I scanned the dense thicket where twisted branches reached for the sky like spindly fingers grasping at air, and a single thought nagged at me. What lay ahead was beyond the grasp of my understanding. A foreboding sense of neglect washed over me, a reminder that my past still loomed, waiting to ensnare me anew. Before I could voice my misgivings, a chorus of rustling leaves erupted around us, and tension crackled in the air. From the depths of the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in twilight and elder, draped in tattered robes that shimmered with the essence of the night sky. His silver hair flowed like a river of stars, and his piercing gaze bore into my very soul. I stood rooted in place, instinctively reaching for the twin maidens beside me. The air shifted. Something primal thrummed as the elder stepped closer. There was power in his presence, palpable and ancient, like the weight of centuries resting uneasily on his shoulders. Child of flesh and bone, lost among the whispers of your past, he spoke, his voice a gravelly wind that seemed to echo from the core of the world. I have watched as the shadows dance around you, their hunger insatiable. They seek to bind you to your despair, but your choices journey with you. Who are you? I managed to stammer. What do you want from me? I am Eldrin, keeper of the old ways and mentor to those who seek redemption, he replied, his gaze unwavering. I have sensed your struggle, the ripples of shame churning beneath the surface of your heart. Your path is one of darkness, and yet a spark of light still burns within. You have allies in the Elven Sisters, and together you may yet wield the strength needed to forge a new destiny. Confusion twisted with trepidation in my gut, both terrified and intrigued by this stranger's presence. But I am not strong enough. I have faltered. I carry darkness in my past that I fear will pull me back. You are a tapestry woven from both shadow and light, Eldrin affirmed. To recognize this is to awaken the true power that lies within you. Your spirit has already witnessed the darkness. It does not cower from it. His voice grew intense. You must embrace your burden to wield it as a shield against that which threatens you. Despite the fervor of his words, doubt still clutched at my heart. How can I learn to harness that power? I need to confront a malevolence that feels insurmountable. A knowing smile flickered across his face, and I sensed something ancient and wise glimmering in his gaze. In the shadows of doubt lie lessons waiting to be unraveled. We will begin your training. You must learn to wield not only the strength of your body, but the strength of your heart. Your greatest weapon lies not in forged steel, but in understanding and acceptance. We can cultivate it together. You must first face your own inner maelstrom. I felt the tension within me shift, uncertainty now battling against the lure of Eldrin's candid promise. Could I truly learn to confront the better parts of myself, to embrace my actions, and pull the threads of light from the depths of my pain? There was no denying the flicker of hope I felt. Very well, I said, my voice steadying at last. If you believe I can harness my past and stand with my allies, teach me. I will not shy away. Good, Eldrin nodded, the firelight of purpose igniting his ancient visage. To face the shadows within, we shall summon the gifts embedded in this very forest. It is both an enchanting haven, and it bears its dangers. You will learn to wield your heart as a weapon against the tumult that waits. The twin maidens stood resolute beside me, their pained yet determined expressions hinting at understanding. We will guide you, they whispered, their luminescence pulsing with hope. Under Eldrin's watchful eye, we began our training as the night deepened around us. The forest hummed with quiet life as I worked to forge my resolve anew. The roots of ancient trees formed a circle, creating an arena that would shape my journey. Each lesson came alive. I was to harness the energy of my regret, transforming it into focus, yielding strength from pain. Together we danced between light and shadow, wielding the truth of my experiences as a catalyst for change. Eldrin guided me through rigorous physical trials while imparting wisdom drawn from ages long past. In return, I shared stories of my journey, the relationships forged in laughter or strife, and they became tools for my redemption. The forest watched silently as the days flickered past, each sunrise heralding my growth through humility and pain. My breathing steadied as the twin maidens taught me to harness magic drawn from the very essence of the woods. I learned to behold not just the weight of my past, but to encase it within a shimmering, protective barrier power blossoming from understanding and acceptance. As I trained, I could feel the darkness gathering in the periphery, a constant reminder of the battle yet to come. But the knowledge that flowed through me formed roots that intertwined with the Elven Maidens' light together. We wove an ethereal thread that anchored me even deeper. And so, with my mentor at my side and the Elven sisters by my heart, I steeled myself for the challenges that lay ahead. Together, we prepared to confront the darkness that craved me. Anchored by the understanding of my past, no longer seeking refuge, but armed with the unyielding resilience born from acceptance. The call to adventure had transformed into a journey of preparation. And though doubt would test my spirit, I surged with determination, ready to step into the shadows and reclaim my fate from their insatiable grasp. Together, we would emerge victorious, guided by a newfound strength, wielding the power of light against the encroaching dark. Having dedicated myself to the teachings of Eldrin, the days turned into weeks and time warped around me, echoing the lessons learned and the bonds forged in the crucible of this dark yet vivid forest. The air was thick with magic and the essence of resilience. As each dawn unveiled new challenges, I felt the chains of my past slowly dissolve, replaced by an emerging certainty, a flame kindled with purpose and identity. It was during one such session, surrounded by the whispers of the woods, when Eldrin suddenly paused, his gaze fixed on a distant shadow that darted between the trees. My heart raced. Instinctively, I shifted into a defensive stance. The tranquility of our ritual shattered, and I looked to the maidens, their expressions taut with unspoken tension. "The time has come," Eldrin intoned, the seriousness of his words tightening the air around us. "Your training is complete, but the real journey lies ahead. The darkness you seek is drawing near, and you must prepare to confront it with everything you have learned." I swallowed hard, the weight of his decree striking like a hammer against the anvil of my heart. I feel it tooth dark stirrings beneath the trees. What is it? What must I do? Eldrin stepped forward, void of hesitation, his voice calm yet resonant with urgency. "A great evil has lingered, waiting for the moment when your doubts could consume you. It seeks to exploit your fears and wishes to reclaim what you have fought to overcome. You must face it. Draw upon your training, your confidence, and the light of the maidens. Only together can you confront this malevolence." "What form will it take?" I asked, clenched fists bracing against the uncertainty. "In the depths of the woods," he gestured broadly, "lies the heart of darkness, a corrupted realm where the past converges with nightmares. It serves as a breeding ground for the monstrous remnants of your regrets and fears. You will come face to face with an incarnation of the darkness that has clung to you since you set foot in these woods." His eyes locked onto mine, a steeliness tempered with compassion. "Do not let it deceive you. Its power hinges on what you allow it to take." "I will fight," I said, voice steady but heart racing, "but I cannot do it alone. The specter of my past holds sway over me in ways I still struggle to comprehend." "Then you have already taken a crucial step," Eldrin replied, a faint smile touching his lips. "Accept that the shadows were once parts of you, your fears and regrets woven within. Harness their energy. Do not flee from them. Remember how you faced the shadows before, using honesty to dismantle them. You are stronger for every scar that still lingers." Together I nodded, glancing at the twin maidens who regarded me with unwavering support. "We will face this challenge as one." The maidens stepped forward, their hands entwining with mine in a gesture of unity. "We have experienced similarly in our pasts," spoke the first maiden. "Our struggles and the burden of our choices allow us to empathize with your plight. We shall be your armor, your light never doubting the strength that resides in you." "Yes," the second maiden agreed. "You are not alone in this. While you confront the darkness, we will channel our light to guide you through the storm. We cannot force the shadows from your heart, but will lend you the strength of our bond." As we stood united in resolve, Eldrin raised his hands, casting a spell that shimmered with ethereal light, filling the air with luminescent power. A portal began to take shape, revealing a swirling abyss where darkness met the glimmer of destiny. The heart of darkness loomed ahead, an ethereal abyss that beckoned us deeper into its cursed embrace. Fear coiled in my stomach, yet within it, an ember of bravery flared, a testament to everything I had learned and the bonds we had forged. I took a step forward, heart pounding, then another, feeling the pull of fate as it wrapped around my spirit. I turned to Eldrin, who wished us well, his voice steady yet filled with an edge of urgency. Trust not only in your training, but in each other. As you face your fears, remember, the light will always pierce through the shadows, as long as you keep walking forward. In that moment of clarity, I dared to step toward the swirling portal. The world erupted in an explosion of light and darkness, sight and sound, blurring together, until all I could feel was the pull of an unknown destiny. And with a final breath, I crossed the threshold, committing to the journey ahead, fully aware that the challenges awaiting me were not just a fight against external enemies, but an acceptance of the myriad of emotions that lay buried within. This was our world now, the world where shadows danced and light flickered, and I was determined to reclaim every inch of it, along with whatever awaited me within the heart of darkness. As I entered through the portal, the world morphed around me. The incandescent glow of the forest melted into a realm that pulsed with a strange and terrifying energy. The very atmosphere thickened, swirling into a tapestry of light and darkness, an eerie orchestra of shadowy figures flitting across my periphery. I sensed the presence of my allies tightly beside me, the Elven Maidens, a steady anchor in a world rife with turmoil. The heart of darkness pulsated like a living entity. Shadows writhed at the edges of my vision, whispering my name in chilling tones. Each fluid sound echoed memories of past misdeeds, taunting me with what I could never forget. A palpable dread clutched at my core, and I could almost hear the phantoms of my past thrumming beneath the surface. Yet alongside the dread, the Elven Maidens' presence soothed the chaos within me, their ethereal light guiding our collective march through this fractured realm. "Stay close," the first maiden instructed, her voice piercing through the gloom. "The darkness is cunning. It will attempt to drive a wedge between us, to exploit any fissure of doubt. Remember your purpose." "We are with you," the second maiden echoed, her voice unwavering. "Draw strength from us, mortal. You have faced the darkness before, and you will again, only this time. We will face it as one." As we made our way deeper into the heart of this haunted realm, spectral shapes began to materialize before us, twisted silhouettes that echoed the faces of those I had wronged. Shadows writhed at their feet as if painting the air with regret, forming a mosaic of guilt that threatened to claw its way into my soul. "Why have you returned?" one shadow hissed, taking the form of an old friend whose trust I had shattered. "You think you can change what you've done? You have brought nothing but ruin upon those you love." "Shut up!" I roared, stepping forward as defiance surged within me. "You are nothing but a reflection of my fears. I am not the man who ran from my past, and I refuse to cower before the mistakes I have made." At that moment, the shadows roared in anger, coiling around me, hungry for despair. The air shimmered with their malicious energy, threatening to pull me beneath the surface of doubt as they unleashed a torrent of self-loathing. "Face it, you are not worthy of redemption." Another specter shrieked, a cacophony of voices twisting as the shadows morphed into grotesque specters of my failures, looming large and ominous. The maidens stepped forward, their hands intertwined, creating a radiant barrier of light that pulsated against the darkness. "Your past does not define you," one maiden declared, her voice ringing clear as a bell. "Turn that pain into strength." I could feel the shadows clawing at my resolve, yet I returned my focus inward, recalling the instances of growth, the moments shared with those I had genuinely loved. Each was a beacon of light shimmering through the darkness. They became stepping stones, fragile memories woven into a heartfelt tapestry that anchored my spirit. Taking a deep breath, I emptied my mind of their hostility and channeled the essence of gratitude, the very act of forgiveness, even for myself. "I acknowledge my past," I said, my voice steadying amid the roiling shadows. "I own my mistakes, and they have shaped me into who I am today." With unyielding resolve, I reached out toward the shadows, feeling the Elven Maidens feed their light into my very being. "I will not be consumed by despair," I declared firmly, invoking the power of the bond we had forged. We together will shine no matter how dark the world becomes. In that moment, the shadows recoiled, twisting and distorting as if weakened by the light rising within me. The specters shrieked and writhed, fighting against the loving warmth that surged forward. My heart swelled with conviction, and alongside the twin maidens whose glows pulsated with mine, we pressed onward into the depths of the heart of darkness. Yet this was merely the beginning. As we traversed deeper into the realm, we felt the stirring of malevolence, somersaulting throughout the abyss of sentient darkness that swelled like a storm brewing in the distance. It churned, a swirling mass, threatening to snap and unleash its wrath upon us. A figure materialized at the core of the maelstroma, being clad in shadows, its features hidden, but its presence emanated a feeling of overwhelming dread. This was no mere shadow, but the embodiment of my fears. A monstrous adversary that craved my submission, a being that sought to cleave apart the bonds I had formed and taint them with despair. "Foolish mortal," the figure intoned, voice resonating like thunder, while the shadows curled dangerously around it. "You believe you can escape the weight of your past? I am every whisper of doubt, every flicker of anguish you attempt to flee. I will consume you." Dread clashed with the burgeoning light within. I could feel the tenuous threads of darkness snaking through my mind, weaving chaos back into my heart. But the brightness of the maidens surged with power, and I drew upon their strength. "No," I shouted defiantly, my voice a roar reverberating through the void. "You do not own me. My struggle is mine, and so is my resolve." With newfound confidence, I rallied alongside my allies. Together, we charged into the heart of the storm, wielding the light of our experiences and the warmth forged in vulnerability as our greatest weapon against the overwhelming darkness. Tests awaited, but we embraced the trials that rose to meet each spectral figure, each twisted shadow, manifesting the fears I'd buried long ago. Only now, with the maidens and Eldrin beside me, I stood resolute not against mere specters of my past, but against the very definition of regret, refusing to let it reclaim me. Together we faced brothers and sisters of anguish, determined to confront them all, for at the heart of darkness we would prove our strength and grapple with that which once threatened to tear us apart. As the storm brewed and cries filled the air, I understood. This battle was not just against shadows, but it was a personal war waged within a chance to reclaim my spirit, to transcend the pain of past echoes, and to emerge anew with friends who would stand shoulder to shoulder, ready to illuminate the night once and for all. As the shadows writhed and the storm of darkness converged around us, dread hung heavy in the air like a cloying mist that thickened with each heartbeat. My breath quickened, and although fear threatened to seep into the crevices of my resolve, I remained anchored by the radiant light of the Elven Maidens beside me. Their presence fueled my own, illuminating the path through the tempest that loomed before us, a path littered with spectral echoes demanding our attention. "Remember," the first maiden urged, her voice unwavering amidst the chaos. "These manifestations are not merely to terrify, but to remind you of your journey. Each shadow speaks of a choice, each twisted figure embodies a fear, waiting for acknowledgement." I glanced at her, the weight of her words grounding me. "I will acknowledge them." My heart pounded against my ribs, but a flame of defiance sparked within me. "I will see them, and I will not allow them to consume me." With a deep breath that steadied my resolve, I took my first brave steps into the storm. The swirling darkness coiled like serpents, hissing taunts that echoed the insecurities I had carried far too long. From the storm, fearsome figures emerged. Each grotesque shadow stirred memories of failure, each accusation striking a painful chord. One figure morphed into a vision of my former self, eyes hollow and glinting with bitterness. It snarled, an echo of the self-loathing I had felt for so long. "You believe you can change? You will always be a coward, a failure to those who trusted in you." "No," I shouted back, my voice rising above the cacophony. "You are not me. You are a shadow born of doubt. I have seen the destruction you can sow. I own my past, and I refuse to live in fear of it." In tandem, the maidens summoned their magic, brilliant beams slicing through the encroaching blackness, illuminating the truth I had forgotten. I was not defined by my choices alone. I was more than the sum of my mistakes. I was forged through the pain and shaped by love. The shadow faltered, its edges dissipating as it struggled against the light. Each affirmation I threw at it lit the darkness anew, revealing the heart of my torment until it began to break apart, whimpering softly as my realization eroded its power. But more figures emerged, each clamoring for attention, faceless figures resonating with despair, fragments of lost relationships long buried beneath my burden. The cries of former allies reached out from the void, their voices twisted with anger and sorrow. "You left us," they screamed, echoing through the air like a mournful dirge. "You selfishly surrendered to your ambition, abandoning those who believed in you. Do you truly think you can redeem yourself?" With every accusation, my heart ached. Fragments of memories surged forth, the laughter, the betrayal, the pain. Every face blurred into one singular embodiment of my betrayal. But even amid my anguish, I felt the unwavering support of the maidens, their radiant energy intertwining with mine. "We are with you," the second maiden called out, her voice vibrant like a melody amidst the chaos. "You are not alone in this fight. You must speak your truth. Listen," I cried, the power of their conviction fortifying my own. "I am not running from my mistakes anymore. I accept the pain of my choices and acknowledge the hurt I caused, but I will not let it define who I am. I choose to learn from my past and honor it, to turn my pain into strength." Sunlight surged from the maidens, beating back the tide of anger and anguish. I took that moment of clarity to dive deeper into my heart, unearthing the wisdom buried within faces of friends, allies who had stood by me once, whose loyalty I had unwittingly turned to ash. It became my light as I fought back against the encroaching shadow. "Your loyalty is not lost," I offered into the howling void. "I will hold the memories close to my heart, and while the grief remains, it will also invoke the need to forge new bonds with those still in my life. You will not consume my spirit. I carry each of you forward." The figures of anguish began to wane, hissing and flailing against the onslaught of my acceptance, losing their hold as I stepped into the space they had once dominated. But the storm continued to rumble behind them, the embodiment of the darkness lurking, still its presence looming larger, the eyes glinting with malice and hunger. Suddenly I felt the shadows shift, coiling around me like chains. A voice emerged from the storm, deep and echoing a resonant threat that reverberated through my bones. "You believe you can invoke strength? You think your light can repel the inevitability of despair?" My heart raced in terror as the figure materialized. It was a monstrous amalgamation of all my fears, my past failures, regrets, and the echoes of those I had wronged, twisted together into a grotesque form. "You will never be free. Your failures will consume you, and I will feast upon your sorrow." The very essence of despair exuded from the figure, an intangible yet all-consuming force that made me feel small and pathetic under the weight of its gaze. But even as fear coursed through me, I felt the twin maidens' presence pulse beside me, a constant reminder of the light they had brought into my life. "No," I murmured, grounding myself in the warmth of our bond. "I refuse to yield. You thrive on my fear, but it no longer holds dominion over my heart." The forces of darkness surged against me, but the Elven Maidens stepped forward, their magic igniting the air with radiant light. "Stand true," they cried, their voices a harmonious blend of hope and determination. "We will not falter. Together we are stronger than despair." With their strength fueling the fire inside me, I channeled everything I had learned. I took a step forward, meeting the figure's burning gaze. "I choose to forge forward. I will not hide. I will not flee." The shimmering light radiated with a brilliance that pierced the dim smoke enveloping the shadows. My heart drummed against my ribcage, pushing me to declare my resolve, for I had faced the shadows before. I would face them again, this time with allies who stood in solidarity. "We will clash against your darkness," I proclaimed, my voice rising against the tide of despair, "and I will reclaim what has been taken. I may stumble, but I will rise. Acceptance is my strength." The storm crackled around us, and as my declaration echoed through the heart of darkness, a chasm began to form at our feet, a fissure, splitting the ground, attempting to consume us. But together we would not be overwhelmed. We were a cacophony of resolve and unity, intertwining our destinies against the oncoming tide. As shadows swam around me, I could feel the power surging, intertwining with the maidens, the light against the encroaching dark. The storm itself had become a roiling foe, But with every challenge met, I transcended each fear, each twisted regret, reclaiming my true self in the process. With each heartbeat, I steeled myself against the impending confrontation. The true battle had yet to commence, but together we braced for whatever darkness sought to tear us apart. The inmost cave beckoned an abyss of turmoil that awaited, and I knew with certainty that within its depths lay both the ultimate challenge and the potential for transformation. Here, amid the swirling chaos, the threads of my journey began to entwine toward the culmination of the fight. A reckoning not just against the darkness surrounding me, but within a chance to reclaim every piece of my fractured spirit. With every ounce of strength gathered from the Elven Maidens, I braced myself for the inevitable confrontation, knowing I was not merely battling an external foe, but the culmination of everything I had once feared about myself. The storm raged on as I faced the figure that embodied all of my regrets and failures, every moment that had sent me spiraling into despair. It took an imposing form, a monstrous creature woven from shadows, its size a reflection of the immensity of my fears. Yet it was also an illusion, a mere echo of what my mind conjured. "Step forward if you dare," the figure bellowed, a voice dripping with malice and scoff. "You think you can conquer what resides within? You are weak, a coward hiding behind the false light of your companions." I thrust my chin up defiantly, heart racing but focused. "I am not the man I was, and I will not be defined by you any longer. I have found strength in my past and forged bonds with those who stand beside me. Your threats mean nothing." With that proclamation, the eldritch tendrils surged toward me, reaching to engulf my very essence. I could feel their chill scrape against my skin, attempting to encase me in shackles of despair. For a moment, doubt flared up once more, a flicker of uncertainty that begged me to crumble beneath the weight of the darkness. But the Elven Maidens interlinked their hands with mine, a warm glow spilling into the space as they poured healing energy into my very core. "Remember how far you've come," they chanted in harmony, their words laced with the strength of our shared journey. "Remember your purpose, and let it guide you." As their light bolstered my spirit, I drew upon the moments we had shared, the laughter, the lessons learned, the unity forged from hardship. I breathed deep, each inhale drawing strength from their unwavering belief in my potential, pushing back against the embrace of dread. The figure reabsorbed its shadows, bulking up before me, its eyes like black holes that threatened to devour the very light of the forest. "Watch powerless as I reveal to you the depths of your failures," it shouted, summoning the force of my past indiscretions, a cacophony of voices rising to torment me, highlighting every instance of cowardice, every betrayal. Visions flashed before me, friends departing in anguish, allies abandoned to their own destinies, and beneath it all, echoes of the lives I had irrevocably altered, memories flickering like candle flames in a tempest. The specters of my past rose to the forefront, twisting their grief into blades aimed at my heart. "You see, you cannot escape." The creature's voice twisted, delighted in the pain it brandished like a weapon. "Your past will haunt you until your last breath." Yet the flames of conviction soared within me, a crescendo swelling with each heartbeat. "I see them," I shouted, the words bursting forth with a fierce clarity. "I do not shy away from my past. I embrace it. I accept my mistakes and honor my friends lost. Their pain taught me to forge my resolve. It wasn't in my refusal that I could reclaim myself, it is through my acceptance that I become whole again." My voice echoed through the storm, reverberating off the walls of fear. The maiden's light illuminated the depths of the shadows, revealing my fears not as chains binding me, but as lessons shaping my identity. Each claim of sorrow began to shrivel, losing power against the burgeoning light that emanated from both me and my allies. "There is an ember of truth in your words." The shadows hesitated, recoiling against the light, as my defiance rang clear. I pressed forward, fists clenched yet steady, confidence unfurling in the space once devoid of hope. "What you embody does not strengthen me, it only highlights the truth I refuse to ignore. I am not my past indiscretions, I am the man rising from them." As I declared my intent, I felt the warmth of the Elven Maidens surge, coalescing with my spirit in a dazzling display of hope. The shadows quivered, woven together and then splintering under the weight of acceptance, their form beginning to dissolve in the radiant embrace we cast against them. The light shot forward, illuminating the darkness, casting away the specters in flares of pure brilliance. Every moment of fear is laced with the possibility of growth. I roared, driving the very essence of my spirit into my voice. For every gain I've endured loss, it does not define me, it fuels me. This day shall not break me, nor shall I be silenced by the echoes of anguish. We are intertwined now and forever, and we will persist in light. With that final declaration, a shockwave rippled through the heart of darkness, fracturing the storm that threatened to engulf us. A blinding light erupted from within, scattering the shadows and illuminating the ground we stood on. The storm began to spiral out of control, the darkness ripping apart, and before me revealed a shimmering path leading deeper into the cavern of destiny. And as the monster roared in pain, I realized the shadows had hoped to consume me, but instead, they had become the battleground from which I could rise stronger than before. Adrenaline flooded through my veins, and in that moment of transformation, a flood of clarity washed over me, illuminating the darkness as I reclaimed it through understanding.